Hi everybody, it's Miss Marie, and today for our STEAM Thursday, I thought it would be really fun. We've been loving to do the paint-alongs. I really love to do the paint-alongs. I find them very relaxing, and I feel like I really accomplished something great by trying something new. So I thought for spring we would do a really adorable bunny paint-along. So if you've picked up the kit from the library, you're going to have a canvas in there. You're going to have a sponge tip applicator and a paintbrush. You're going to also be getting a tray of paints, and then you're going to be getting a little bunny cut out. Don't worry about the little tail. I did it on the Cricut, so it cut the tail out. You don't really need to worry about that part. We're just going to trace this onto the canvas, and I'm going to try to squeeze in two so I can have little bunny friends. All right, so you probably will need some things from your house. A jar of water. I'm using my mason jar here. Some scissors just to open things up if you need it. A paintbrush. Oh no, sorry, not paintbrush. A paper towel. And a tray or paper for a paper plate for mixing your paints. All right, so I'm going to turn the camera down so you can see what I'm doing. And we are going to do a paint-along bunnies. So now my paints are on the paper plate already because I didn't have one of those trays, but that's okay because I'm going to mix some there, and I brought myself an extra paper plate just in case. So the first thing we're going to do is open up our canvas, and I always turn it to the back so that I don't scratch the front, and I use a scissor to get this plastic off. Okay. There we go. We'll just set that aside. And I'm going to orient my canvas this way, which I believe is landscape. Yep. Yes, landscape, from side to side, longer on that way. And I'm going to take my applicator sponge here and just dip it in some water. Just kind of brush it on the canvas just to wet the canvas because we want our background to be pretty loose. We don't want it to be too dark, okay? So now I have some blue in here on my tray and a little bit of white. I'm going to mix those together. Not too mixy though, just kind of getting a little bit on the sponge like that. I'm just going to make some, I'm going to go up and down. I'm going to go up and down with the paint. I'm just going to paint on some blue. You know what? I should probably get a newspaper. Hold on. Okay, I've got my newspaper. Miss Marie needs some adult supervision here. I get too excited and carried away when I have a new project. And I don't want to get this all over my nice tablecloth. All right. So I'm just going to keep doing that. I'm not going to get too heavy. I just want a nice light background. And you can always come back and darken it if you don't think it is dark enough. So maybe I'll add a little bit more blue since I did it so watery. Just want it to look like a nice spring sky. And that's it. Now I've got that part done. I have to let it dry for a few minutes, and then we're going to come back in and trace our bunnies. Okay, so I let the canvas dry, maybe 10 minutes or so. I had got a lot of water on it to make it watery, so now I have to let it dry a while, but I think it's ready. I'm going to next trace my bunny on here, and I think I'm going to do two. I have room for two. You could even do three if you wanted to, but I'm going to do two. And what I'm going to do is put it sort of towards the middle so that I have a space on the bottom to make grass and flowers on the side. So I'm going to sort of stick it in the middle of the canvas, and I'm going to trace it very lightly with my pencil, but I'm not going to go, I kind of want my bunny to have a little bit of a rounder head. So I'm going to kind of make a circle from here to here, and I think I might leave the little feet off. But you do how you want to do it. It's your bunny, it's your canvas. So I'm going to just round out that face a little bit. I kind of want a rounder head, but you can do the cheeks if you like the cheeks. I'm going to round out that body a little bit. I like a big round bunny. See, and then I'm going to come down here and round this up. But you can, again, you can do the feet if you like the feet. And then I'm going to put a little bunny friend right here next to this bunny. Now you notice I didn't do the tail because we're gonna add that later, so we have to leave some space for that. Okay, now I'm gonna take my brush and I'm going to do the bunny in a light brownish color. So I'm gonna mix some white and some brown together. And I might even add a little bit of gray, but I'm gonna go back over it later with some gray. So, because most bunnies I've ever seen are brown and gray. Those white bunnies you see on Easter candy and stuff, I don't really, those are pet bunnies. I've never really seen them in the wild. So now I'm gonna go around with my paintbrush, which unfortunately is a little bit messed up at the bottom there, so it's not allowing me to have a nice clean edge, but that's okay. I'll just come back in and fix that up. So I'm gonna outline my bunny and then I'm gonna fill it in. And then I'm gonna do this ear. And it's okay if their little bunny ears touch because they're really next to each other. Remember, I'm doing a little brown, a little white, just maybe a touch of gray, because later I'm going to come back in with some more gray. It could be gray or brown, really. Depends on how you want to do it. Or you could do the white bunnies, but then I still suggest you do a little bit of a light gray or brown underneath it so that it's not completely bright white. And then you'll have to, if you do white, you'll have to outline the tail a little bit to make it stand out. I'm just mixing my colors over here. You'll notice I kind of like to take my brush in the direction, in one direction. I kind of go back and like that and go over it. Almost like you're sketching with a pencil again, and then fill it in. I don't go back and forth. I like to try to keep it going in the same direction. Because usually their fur would be going in one direction for one thing, plus that allows the colors to not mix together too much, so you get different amounts of brown and white and gray in there. And I think that looks nice. Oops, that one needs to be a little bit darker down there. There we go. This one, make it easier to finish. You can see my progress. Okay. Now I'm going to do the other bunny. Okay, and I'm going to let those dry a little bit. And then I might come back in and add a little bit more gray on top, a little gray and white, a little gray, white, and brown, maybe slightly lighter color, but I'm going to let them dry for a few minutes. And I'm going to now start adding in the grass. So I'm going to clean my brush. And I've got the green here. And I think I'm going to add a little bit of white to some of the green. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. I like it to be sort of a mix. And we are going to add some grass onto the bottom. And I think how we did it when we did the pumpkins was we sort of did like, just sort of strokes like this. Yeah, there you go. Don't want it to be too perfect. It doesn't have to be real heavy, just sort of very light. And then you just keep adding to it to make it darker where you want it to be darker, a little bit lighter where you want it to be a little bit lighter. And I like some long grasses up here. And I like having some of the darker green mixed in with the lighter green, and that's all. You do that by not going back and forth with your brush, but by getting a couple different, you know, the 2 different colors on your brush, and then not spreading it too close, just kind of working lightly to get the colors that you like. I'm going to turn this towards you so you can see as I'm adding to it. And be careful not to mess up my bunnies. So I'm just kind of working very light strokes, a little bit of green, white, and then a blend of the blue, green, and white. So a little dark, a little light. And we're just adding in all these nice little grasses. I'm going to go right up to the bunny. Maybe I might even go a little bit past the bunny, so it looks like the bunny's actually sitting in the grass. Yeah, I think I like that. I don't want the bunny floating in space. I'm going to add some right up to the bunny's behind there. And don't worry, it's not going to interfere with the tail. We're going to put the tail in later. Yeah, you don't want to have any blue showing because then your bunny's kind of floating in space there. Now they're definitely sitting in the grass, which is really, really sweet. I'm going to add a few longer green sort of stem-like things over here because I'm going to add some flowers in a little while. Again, just super light with the brush. And I think we've said this before when we were working with these paints, is that if you don't like how it's coming out, you can change it, which is kind of nice. You can always go over it with a new paint and it covers it pretty well. So, all right, I think that looks pretty good. Maybe one more longer green one up in here. So I could add some flowers later. All right, I'm gonna wash off my brush. Okay, so I let that dry for a few minutes. There's still a little wetness on the green, so I'm not going to touch that yet. I'm going to go back in and add a little bit of gray with some brown mixed in to my bunnies, just to make them a little bit more gray, because that's the kind of bunnies I usually see in my yard. I still want some brown to show, so I'm not going on too heavily. I'm going pretty light here with the gray. And I'm mixing in just a wee bit of brown too, to preserve that brown color and to make sure it still has some shading in there, some different colors coming through. That's all I'm doing right now. Obviously, I'm going to stay away from the grass because that's still wet and I don't want to paint back over that. Mostly I just want to make sure my bunnies have a little bit of gray to them, and that there's no blue showing through from the sky. Remember, we had the sky underneath, so I want to make sure the blue is covered. So I'm just going to do that here. And it's really giving it a nice color. Looks like the bunnies that I see in my yard that my dog likes to chase after. I have to stop him from that all the time. He loves to find the bunnies. Just gonna go in those circles, not go too heavily. Something got on my canvas here. There we go. I can fix that with some blue later. Okay, so remember, we're going to keep going in the shapes that we want it to be. We're going to keep our brush strokes going in those directions if we can, because that kind of emphasizes the shape. Oh yeah, I really like the way this is coming out. It's great. little bit of gray. And my bunnies here. And I'm not going to go over the grass. I'm going to leave the grass there at the bottom. Making sure I still got a little bit of brown coming through. I can go back in and add a little bit of brown for them too. Okay. I'm going to rinse my brush and dry it off on my paper towel here, and I'm going to just touch up that little spot of blue that got some heat on it. Perfect. There we go. Go back and make it look like it was on purpose. Yeah, a little bit more blue. All right, perfect. Put that in. All right. Now I'm going to go and add some flowers to those longer stems. Now this should be pretty easy. I'm going to start with some red and put it on my paintbrush, my clean paintbrush, dry paintbrush. And I'm just going to pick a long stem, and I'm going to just take the brush and use that as the shape of the flower. And go back and forth like that. And that's going to be a red flower. And maybe I'll do another one over here. I'll do a little one on each side, because flowers tend to grow like that. Maybe I'll do some on this side. That's pretty easy, right? So now, what I thought would be nice is to do some purple flowers, but I didn't give you purple paint. How are we going to make purple? Anybody take art class in school? We're going to mix a little bit of blue and red together. And we're going to get purple. Let's see, do I like this purple? I do. Ooh. That's really pretty. Okay, so now I'm going to do a different kind of flower in purple. Let's just do, oh, what if we did this? Let me try this. Take the pointy end of your paintbrush and do little circles. I could do that. And they're a different kind of flower than the red ones. And you can cluster these all together. These kind of remind me of hyacinths, which grow in my yard for the spring. They look like little purple grapes. We can do that. You can put as many in there as you like, or you can use the other part of your brush too if you feel like you can control it enough. Let's see if I can do it to just make like little circles. Yeah, I think I like the other end better. Gives me more control over the brush. Let me hold this up so you can see them coming. You see those purples? Let's add some on this side too. right, I'm gonna wash my brush off again, both sides this time, since I got I got some on the other end. I see a tiny little spot here in the sky that I need to fix up too. I can make sure my brush is really clean. And then I think the last ones we'll add will be some white flowers. Let's see, but first let me fix this little spot in the sky. There we go, a little blue. Yep. It's all good. I'm gonna add a little weight to it. Like I said, that's why I love these paints, because you can really touch it up however you like. If it needs a touch-up. Okay, now I'm going to rinse it again because I'm going to use the whites to make some white flowers. Those will really pop on this canvas. And we're almost done. You can, you know, think about adding anything you'd like to add. Maybe some insects or, I don't know. All right, I'm going to try making a flower. Can you see it? Okay. Let's try something that's kind of bushy, almost like a little bunny tail. Look at that. We're gonna add a couple of those little white bushy flowers that look a little bit like bunny tails. Let's add some over here too. We haven't even done the bunny tails yet. And we're adding little bunny tail flowers. I don't know what I would call these, but they're light and brushy. Almost like, could they be dandelions? I don't know. Dandelion flowers. Oh, let's add a few over here too. Is this dry? I think so. Let's find a spot where it's dry. Add some flowers there. Oh yeah, this is coming out great. All right, now my bunnies' backs are not dry yet, so I am going to take a little break and from that, and I'm going. Okay, so the last part I'm gonna do is the tail for the bunny. I hope you've kept your white pretty clean so that you can put a pretty fluffy white tail on there. You could also use this if you wanted to as your pattern, but I'm gonna just do it freehand because I want to do that and make sure it's dry. And you can even just go like this if you want to give it some texture. Do that on this one too. I'm going up and down, sort of like blotting it so that it looks a little fluffier. It's not just a round circle. Oh, I love that. I'm super happy with how that turned out. Okay, and did you see anything that I didn't like in the background? I've added a little extra blue and white to it just to make it how I like it, how dark I like it. And there you go. Those are your two bunnies for spring. And like I said, you could even squeeze in 3 if you want to, or just do one bunny, however you like it. Enjoy, and please post your pictures or send them to me so I can see how you did. All right, I'll talk to you soon.